Um, there's a Scotsman who's recently been involved in this legal fiasco. He made a YouTube video involving his pug honouring Hitler. It was a ridiculous joke, but he got arrested for it. And ever since that time, I've been following his channel because I'm quite interested to see how this all pans out. He went live today, and I knew he was in court over the past couple of days at some point over the last week anyway. So I wanted to check up and see. Well, he's going live. Maybe he can shed some light on how things are going. And he wasn't able to say too much. He said he did quite well in the court, but that he feels they might make an example of him. Anyways, he brought to my attention a YouTuber called, is it Amos, and he mentioned how he had been a supporter of this YouTuber, because he had engaged in a few risky YouTube videos, like destroying a Quran and saying, well, basically, I support his right to do that. He shouldn't be arrested for that, but he was arrested for that. But he recently came out in defense of pedophilia, and it just kind of raised my hackles. It just kind of got me thinking, I'm just so disgusted by this. I just want to get on a camera and just voice how horrible an idea I think that is, and why I think it's evil. Because you could try and make the compassionate, sympathetic case and say, oh, these people have a disease of the mind, or these people are persuaded to feel this desire, so let's go easy on them, right? Let's maybe not look down upon pedophilia anymore. This message is coming out before its time and everything, but in the future it'll be fine. No, it's evil. It's absolutely evil. But before I go on to that, that's an extreme tangent before I get into that. But I recently got this book delivered to me. It's about Giordano Bruno, and it's written by Yates. She's a really talented writer, historian. She's not just regurgitating facts that she's researched. She just isn't so enthusiastic about her subject, and it's really good reading. I'm not a huge hermetic enthusiast. Like, I don't know much about the hermetic tradition, but from what I understand, it involves esoteric knowledge. So that knowledge which is not scientific or mainstream religion, it's that sort of in between twilight zone stuff. Seen as a sort of like response to the disenchantment of the world. It's like seen as a sort of enchanted understanding of the world, so to speak. There's probably much more to it than that, but basically the main inspiration of the Hermetic tradition is a text, the Corpus Hermeticum, which was believed to have originated, thousands of years ago, and been written by Hermes. What's his name? Hermes Thrice Great is the translation. Hermes Trismegistus. I'll just call him Hermes Thrice Great. So he was supposed to have been an Egyptian priest who wrote this Hermetic tradition, this text, but it turns out that that's not true. That the actual Hermetic scriptures, if you will, were written in like the year 100, year 300, that kind of range. But she kind of goes through and explores this, and the reason I like Bruno so much is, I like the fact he was willing to step out against the religious norms of the time and voice his truth, even at personal cost. And there's some I agree with a lot of. I think I agree with a lot of what he believed in. I have to investigate it further, but he took issue with eternal damnation, the Trinity, the divinity of Christ, the virginity of Mary, and transubstantiation. And he had all these different views as well that just didn't fit in to the Catholic Church at the time. And yeah, I want to give that some thought. I really want to look into that. So I think this book will be great for that. Now, people, when getting back onto the subject at hand, when people start to make the case for pedophilia, it just makes you wonder about the future. It makes you wonder, where the freak are we going? Is this actually going to be taken up as a progressive idea? And my knee-jerk reaction to that is no. It's one of these niche little retarded ideas at the end of the spectrum that just, I don't think people are en masse going to jump on board with that. Goodness knows, I've been going to my future prophecy books to ensure that's not the case. Reading a little bit of Howard Storm here. He describes a future in which he actually says here, they all participated in child rearing and teaching as the most important activity of their lives. People raised food by sitting next to plants and communing with them. In a few minutes, they could harvest mature fruits and vegetables. He talks about this future in which humans and the earth are so in sync in some like telepathic way and all the rest of it. But he puts an onus on how important it is, the way we raise our children and the attitudes we have towards children. So obviously having sex with them isn't a part of that. So just to go over some of the points that this guy makes, he talks about, as I say, the pedophile being a discriminated group. They're so discriminated. It's just so wrong that we should discriminate against such people. No, it's not. And I think it's the worst kind of evil. I listened to this pedophile once describe a 5-year-old as precocious, and ever since I have hated the word precocious. There is no such thing as a precocious 5-year-old. There is the adult's interpretation of their actions as being precocious, but they're not. You know what I mean? They're not actually mature or wise beyond their years. They're just a child. They are just a child, and they are so easily manipulated. Now, I know that's been said, but they are. It's so, I've been working with a lot of young people recently, and they very easily form attachments. I have had children come up to me and tell me they love me within a week of knowing me. They're so innocent, and it really pisses me off when I hear people giving these predators a platform and willing to sympathise with these horrible deviant thoughts to take advantage of one of these children. Man, that just crosses a line. But all I won't say is I'm not one of these murderous people. I don't cry out for blood. I don't think we should murder the pedophile. I don't. It goes. I think that goes against my Christian ethic. I wouldn't want to murder such a person. I'd ultimately want reconciliation. I don't know what I mean by that. I want them to seek a solution, because it's just how do you say it? It's people say to defend pedophilia, oh well, a child can consent, a child can give consent, but I don't think that's not it at all. It's that an adult can get consent from them because the child doesn't understand or isn't informed enough to see the true implications, the true reality, the true context of what's being done. It's as an adult that you can devise ploys, you can think up plans and be manipulative in a degree that a child cannot fathom. They don't have all the information, and it's even just in your own day-to-day life, that there are people you can manipulate and get things from, and they can actually feel like they've been done a favour, but you're actually screwing them over to fulfil a need, to satisfy an urge. You can get people to do things and them feel good about it. You can be so manipulative that you can make them think you've done them a favour when actually you've robbed them of something. You've taken something of value from them. And that's what these people are doing. That's what pedophiles are doing. They are robbing individuals of something. They are taking something from them. And they are using their ability, their intellect. They are putting all their energy and power into getting something from someone innocent and naive. It just pisses me off. And something else this guy was saying, like, a baby can consent to sex. He literally said a baby can consent to sex because a baby can show that it accepts things. I think was his argument. Like, a baby can reach out, and if a baby reaches out and touch that, he actually said if a baby can reach out and touch your genitals, that's like consent for sex. What? I want to turn inside out. I literally think I'm going to turn inside out to try and get my head around about that statement. That is so weird. That is sick. That is sick, and that is justifying evil. That is an argument for evil. I mean, I can't imagine a more clearer manifestation of a demon than that. To breathe life, to give agency to that demonic utterance. That is horrible, to put that out there into the world, to defile humanity with that kind of statement. That's something that really gets me and wants to turn me inside out, is the fact that it's other human beings doing this and that I myself am a human being. It makes me detest myself almost, that I'm part of this. I'm part of this world, I'm part of this humanity with these disgusting, just horrible ideas. Horrible ideas. It's just so sick. I don't know if I have anything else to add other than my outrage. Yeah, he talks about how owning child pornography can get you 15 years in jail, and how that's such a terrible thing. Well, that's such a crazy crime, you can get put in jail. It's like, yes, that's not crazy. That is what we need. It needs to be punished, because if you start, catering to that kind of consumerism, if you start that off, you're going to create a market for it. If you just allow the consumption, if you're just like, oh, well, by the way, this is a thing now, you can go and download child pornography, you're just giving in to that. You're just legitimizing that market. And it's not innocent, because child trafficking is a problem in society. In how people are going to choreograph whatever the fuck that looks like, or whatever that's supposed to be. That is just a whole evil, just a network, a hive of evilness that you just don't want to legitimize and give any kind of credence to. It's horrible. Yes, 15 years in jail at least. It's actually I think it's 5 to 15 in the USA. I haven't looked into the UK law, but hopefully it's not too different. It's just disgusting. I mean, that's the thing, like this idea of consent and stuff, it's just exploiting the natural curiosity. Like, as an adult, if a child were to like do something like touch you inappropriately, your immediate reaction would be like to hit them away and say, you don't do that, you never do that, don't make it a huge thing in case that backfires or whatever, you know what I mean? You end up in a different, I don't know, an awkward conversation, but you let them know that's inappropriate. Okay, like this person was saying, about a young person or a fucking baby, like if they can show some kind of interest, then that's like consent. Like giving candy to a child to get them to come over to you is just like a legitimate form of flirtation. Is so messed up. No is the answer to that. No. If anything ever happened to make you think that child was making an advance, or that young person was making an advance, you would nip that in the bud immediately and let them know that they don't know what they're getting into, that's not appropriate. I mean, maybe that makes you start asking questions, because that's one of the indicators, actually. If a child seems like they have too much sexual knowledge, you've got to be clued into that and start asking questions. And well, where does that come from? How do they know these things? Why do they know that? You know what I mean? It's something you got to be very careful of if you ever work with children, to look and know these telltale signs. You know, I've had people very close to me who have been abused in this way, and it's not good. The way this fucks people up, and you know, that was something else he was saying. You know, oh, you know, there's people who say it hasn't affected them. Of course, it's affected them. Of course, this is going to affect someone. If you're like a 5-year-old, if you're 5 to 12 years old, 5 to 13 years old, I know when you get to about 13, is it 14 in the United Kingdom at least, you know, like the United Kingdom is a fucking shithole. I'm not going to butter, what's the word, put icing on it. There are 10-year-old dads in this country, you know what I mean? We've got the youngest parents in the world in the United Kingdom. You would think maybe somewhere else, but no, it's like in the United Kingdom there seems to be this problem. It's just it's quite a detestable country in a lot of ways, you know, like that just shouldn't happen. But you know, that's an extreme situation, but generally speaking, you know, if you're in that young age range, you know, you should not be getting involved in these kinds of things. And you most certainly, you know, as an adult, you know, if you do anything to someone in that age range, you're definitely going to affect them. You're definitely going to affect the trajectory of their lives, how they interact with people, you know. That once they grow up and realise what it means to be an adult, and what it means to love someone, and the kinds of things you don't do to people, and the kinds of things you don't do to children for good reasons. Once they grow up and begin to understand and then begin to process what happened to them as a child, there might be some cognitive dissonance involved there, but once they grasp that, no, that's not going to be a well-formed individual, not at all. It's just predatory, it's just sick people looking to take advantage. But again, I don't really need to say all this, you know all this. It's just whenever it's given a voice, I feel like 20 voices need to respond and say no, that's just wrong. You know, it should never be tolerated, it should be never given a platform, and we do not want to live in that society. But recently I just feel like my mind's been screaming out for something kind of juicy to get into, so you know, I'm going to read some of this now to try and get that sick stuff out of my head, you know, that kind of, oh, pedophilia is not a bad idea, it should be given a platform. Yeah, right, let's see if this is going to scrub that out, you know. And thank goodness for the prophets out there who, you know, seem to suggest it's definitely not going to be a part of the future. Aye. Alright, I think that's all we've got to say, you know. It's been quite hard going recently. I haven't really had the time to really think of anything to say. I know I've got a couple new subscribers. I'll try to make, like, I really do have plans to make some like decent quality videos, but the computer I'm using just now, although it's supposed to be good, you know, it's a MacBook Pro, it's quite slow and staggerish, and I want to edit videos and kind of try and do better things, but I would like to get a new camera as well. I'm just using my phone and uploading live because it's so much more easier than putting it through this computer. I used to have a nice DLSR, but I gave it away and I kind of miss it because it was so crystal clear. Anyways, let's just hope for a crystal clear future, you know, and none of this muddy stuff. All the best and God bless.